The rise of Rodrigo Duterte. Rodrigo Duterte was born in 1945 in Masin, southern Leyte. Growing up in Davao, he witnessed the struggles of ordinary Filipinos, particularly in Mindanao, which would later shape his leadership style. Duterte's political career began in 1988 when he was elected mayor of Davao City, a position he held for over 2 decades, making him one of the longest-serving mayors in Philippine history. Davao City was once plagued by crime, violence, and lawlessness. Under Duterte's leadership, it transformed into one of the safest cities in the country. His iron-fisted policies, particularly against criminals and drug lords, gained him the nickname the Punisher. His success in local governance paved the way for his bid for the presidency in 2016. The 2016 presidential election and the dawn of change. Duterte entered the 2016 presidential race as an underdog, but his straightforward, no-nonsense approach and promise to eradicate drugs and crime within 6 months resonated with the masses. He won by a landslide, becoming the 16th president of the Philippines. From the outset, Duterte made it clear that his administration would be different. He pursued a bold and often controversial approach to governance, emphasizing discipline, law enforcement, and economic reforms. His popularity remained high despite criticism from human rights groups and international organizations. The war on drugs and crime. One of Duterte's most defining policies was the aggressive war on drugs. He vowed to eliminate the drug menace, which he saw as the root of criminality in the country. Under Oplan Tokong, thousands of suspected drug dealers and users were arrested, while many others were killed in police operations. The campaign was both praised and condemned. Supporters credited Duterte for reducing crime and restoring order, but critics accused him of enabling extrajudicial killings. The international community, including the United Nations and the International Criminal Court, ICC, raised concerns over human rights violations. Economic and infrastructure developments. Despite the controversies surrounding his administration, Duterte made significant strides in economic growth and infrastructure development. The Build, Build, Build program led to the construction of roads, bridges, airports, and mass transit systems across the country. His administration also secured the highest-ever credit ratings for the Philippines, boosting investor confidence. Poverty rates declined due to various social programs, including free college tuition in state universities and the expansion of healthcare services. Foreign policy and shifting alliances. Duterte pursued an independent foreign policy, distancing the Philippines from its traditional allies like the United States and strengthening ties with China and Russia. His administration allowed Chinese investments in infrastructure projects despite tensions in the West Philippine Sea. This approach was met with mixed reactions. Some praised Duterte for diversifying international relations, while others feared that his pivot to China compromised national sovereignty. Controversies and criticism. Duterte's presidency was not without controversy. The suppression of press freedom, including the closure of ABS-CBN, and his crackdown on opposition figures raised alarms about democratic backsliding. His administration also faced corruption scandals, including questionable deals during the COVID-19 pandemic. Although Duterte claimed to be against corruption, critics pointed out that several government officials were involved in irregularities. The ICC investigation and arrest. In 2019, Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the ICC after the court launched an investigation into his drug war. However, in 2025, the ICC issued a warrant for his arrest on charges of crimes against humanity. Upon his return from Hong Kong, Duterte was taken into custody in Manila. The arrest sparked debates among Filipinos. Supporters saw him as a hero who saved the country from crime and drugs, while critics believed he should be held accountable for the alleged abuses committed under his leadership. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte ignited a wave of mass protests across the Philippines. Thousands of his supporters, clad in red and waving Philippine flags, gathered in front of government buildings demanding his release. Chants of "Duterte is our hero" and "Stop foreign intervention" echoed through the streets as banners reading "Justice for Duterte" and "Philippines for Filipinos" filled the air. Meanwhile, anti-Duterte groups also mobilized, holding counter-protests in major cities. Human rights activists, victims' families, and political opponents saw his arrest as long overdue justice. The divide between supporters and critics had never been more apparent, with heated debates erupting both online and in public spaces. The Philippine government found itself in a difficult position, trying to maintain order while addressing both national and international pressures. As the rallies continued to grow, the question lingered. Was this the beginning of a new era of justice, or the spark of deeper political unrest? A nation divided. Duterte's legacy remains a topic of heated discussion. His achievements in economic growth, infrastructure, and local governance are undeniable. However, the human rights violations and controversial policies during his presidency cast a shadow over his accomplishments. As the nation watches the legal proceedings unfold, Filipinos are left to ponder: does Rodrigo Duterte deserve to be imprisoned, or should history remember him as a leader who did what was necessary for the country's progress? Before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. Your support helps us bring more engaging content to you.